Yo, what's going on, guys? Hopefully, you guys are having a good Tuesday, kind of middle of the week. And yeah, man, hopefully, you guys, everyone's doing good. Wish you guys all good health and great wealth. I'm not seeing any Shadur Sanders Chronicles. Yeah, man, I'm talking to my homie Diesel, an expert in card dealing, right? For like the collectors, for the people out there that like to hoard, man, Diesel is your man. That's Bowman. As in Navarro Bowman? What you mean that's Bowman? Look, man, I'm gonna keep this video pretty short. I know Tom Brady recently shut down the idea that he's not gonna return to the NFL, right? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people and the thought of joining the New York Jets probably came to Tom Brady's mind for like a minute, and then he kind of shut it down, right? He didn't want to think about it. He didn't want to give it time. He didn't really want to be second guessing himself, right? Rather than saying, how can I get back on the football field? He's like, can't play football no more, right? So it makes it easy to shut down that part of the brain to think whether he can make it or not, play football again, right? See, like the rich person, the poor person in me, right? I'm broke as hell. The poor person in me, it's kind of like that saying, right? The poor are more selfish than the rich. The poor is like, give me, give me, give me. I want this. I want this. Right. And the rich person in Tom Brady, he's like, I give you everything that I can possibly can on the football field. So it's never enough, but me being a fan of multiple sports, it's very hard to let go of the legends of last year, right? And the years in the past. It saddens me to no longer see a Troy Polamalu, a Ray Lewis, an Ed Reed, a Bob Sanders, a Deshaun Golson, a Darrell Revis, Randy Moss, Garrison Hurst, Frank Gore, Peyton Manning. The list goes on and on. It hurts to see, your childhood athletes that you revere just kind of fade away and not really see them in the limelight anymore, right? Rocking your sports team's favorite colors, and winning together, right? So like that cynic part of me, I'm like, man, bro, I know Tom Brady's got another good year in him, especially how good the New York Jets are, how talented they are on that defensive side of that ball. Same thing with the Chiefs, same thing with the Dallas Cowboys. That defense always going to keep them in games. So imagine that like Tom Brady can just kind of be game manager, get rid of the ball with the Jets. I'm like, that. What would it look like for Brady to rock the green and white, right, and beat the Patriots and then win the Super Bowl with the New York Jets? Like, that would be something, some crazy shit. Honestly, that would be insane. But I know that more than likely that's not going to happen, right? I mean, Tom Brady probably has other endeavors. There's many ways that he can win a Super Bowl without necessarily having, strap on that chin strap and put on that mouthpiece. He can be a quarterback's coach. He could be an offensive coordinator. Hell, he was essentially those things anyway in Tampa Bay. Maybe he wants to be an owner of a football team, right? Like how could this man fail? Like, he doesn't. And we talk about just a Cinderella successful story. Tom Brady's been in every aspect of the forgotten to the revered to the monumental aspect. Like, Tom Brady is that guy. The rules changed for him. That's how much love and adoration that this man's gotten in the football field, right? But yeah, man, it saddens me to see the stars of past year just fade away. I mean, that's life, right? But still, it's one of those little things that things become outdated. The things that we love become outdated. The players that we once grew up with become, obsolete, I guess. And there's new faces, right? You're just like, man, those are the glory days. Whatever the case may be. But if it's not Tom Brady for the Jets, is it Zach Wilson? I like Zach Wilson, bro. I'm rooting for that dude to win. Like, all I'm asking is, like, bro, just be a game manager. Don't throw interceptions. Just chuck the ball down the field. Let your defense, fucking play chess. Short little drops. Don't. Maybe he can correct it. I don't know. But I'm rooting for him. But if it's not Zach Wilson, why couldn't it be like Colin Kaepernick? Why not Cam Newton? Hell, if Tom Brady can succeed at age 44, 45, why not Kaepernick and Newton? You see, Muhammad Ali, when he was in his moment and he withdrew from going into the war, he missed a lot of his glory years, bro. He was not able to box for 2 to 3 years or so. Right? They call him the war dodger. Right? Same thing with Kaepernick. I mean, he took a knee. All right. Let's say he was disrespecting the flag, right? He's doing a political campaign, all this situation, right? Let's say all of that. Well, if you ask a lot of military people, they're going to be like, bro, one of the reasons why we fight for this country is for the right for people to protest. Kaepernick is a citizen, right? But it's the poor that always like, gimme, gimme, gimme. No, 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 right? So I get it. It's bad for business, right? A lot of people withdrew from the sport of football. They're like, until this fucking dude gets out of it, The Houston Texans owner had a very famous saying that went very, that got a lot of attention. He was like, we cannot let the prisoners run the yard type of thing, right? So, there's been a lot of people that connect certain things, politics to the sport, and everyone says, oh, no, we don't talk politics in my sport. Keep it out of my sport. But everything is political, man. Anytime there's money involved, there was always got to be some politics to it. It's just a factual, man. That's how it goes. But if it's not Cam Newton, what about Carson Wentz? Hell, what about 41, 42-year-old Phillip Rivers? Why couldn't these guys, right, come and maybe get into a great position, right? Like Tom Brady went into the Tampa Bay. Why couldn't it be Phillip Rivers to win his first and only Super Bowl? Hell, even Andrew Luck. I'm sure if they got a call, maybe they would ponder it. It's like, man, you got a top 5 defense. You got a great receiver in Garrett Wilson. You got Breece Hall, an amazing running back. Dalvin Cook, if he can just not fumble. You got some good complementary pieces in Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard. Some pretty good offensive linemen. Like, it's complete. All they just need is that quarterback to just keep them in the game. Make a couple of drives. Hell, just score 1 touchdown. I'm not saying the New York Jets are going to be like the 2000 Ravens, but they can possibly be, I think it was like the 2012 49er defense, Ravens defense, right? With Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman and Deshaun Golston and Dante Hittner. I think it was Carlos Rogers, Justin the Cowboy Smith, Alden Smith. I think the Jets could be that type of defense. As long as you just have somewhat of a good little quarterback that, I guess, gets you good field position, you can win a lot of games. Just run the rock, pound it, boom. So why couldn't it be a lot of these other amazing quarterbacks that I just mentioned, right? Doesn't just necessarily have to be Tom Brady. It could be a Phillip Rivers. Maybe a Carson Wentz. I don't know, man. But the Jets, I want to see them succeed. It's not easy to say like, oh, I want every team to succeed. Of course, you ideally would want every team to succeed. But it would be nice for the Jets to be able to put something together because, man, they play fucking hard. They got the talent. They got the window. Of course, I want to see my Niners win the Super Bowl. I've been asking for that since, as a Niner fan, there's that hole that we didn't win it with the era of Jim Harbaugh and that nucleus of players, Vernon Davis and Frank Gore. It's something that we will never get back, right? I'm loving these Netflix documentaries called Untold. There's a Johnny Manziel. There's the Tim Tebow's. There's a Jake Paul documentary. But what about that Jim Harbaugh Untold version of how him and Jay York, quote unquote, mutually parted ways? Like Jim Harbaugh, he owes me $1. The fucking guy with khaki pants said he was going to write a book about his time during as an NFL coach with the San Francisco 49ers. Like, I want to read that. I want to see the documentary. I want to live, my high school days of when I was following, and I was like, bro, I can't believe you let Jim Harbaugh walk. I can't believe because Jim Harbaugh walked, Justin Smith retired. Will is retired soon after. Like, it had a trickle-down effect. Yeah, man. Hell, if they, I don't know if had they not retired, they might. Obviously, they wouldn't be playing right now, but it's 10 years later. But yeah, man, it just feels like one of those little absent moments that we didn't get. Football, man, is just such an amazing sport. I wish boxing was very similar to like a lot like it, because what football has, the structure, the culture, impact that it has, boxing is missing, and boxing can easily obtain it. Boxing can get what football has: the audience, the main stage attention. The problem is with boxing is this quote or this attitude that it's a gentleman's sport. Boxing needs more access to its fighters. It needs more access to the amazing urban sparring legends that we hear about. We need the trainers and the boxers to either sell or distribute or give fans access to through, I don't know, OnlyFans or whatever, YouTube channels. They need to give us access to the amazing sparring footage that they be fighting at one another. You see what I'm saying? So, like, let me simplify it down. Triple G sparred Canelo when Canelo was pretty young. Triple G sparred Sudo Ramirez. Triple G sparred Sergey Kovalev. Triple G sparred David Benavidez. David Benavidez sparred all these dudes. Bivol. We need access to that footage, right? Look how great Shakur versus Devin Haney sparring when Boxing Nation, Dante's Boxing Nation put it out there. It had over 1 million views. Everybody in boxing were talking about it. Go look at Fight Hype or Fight Hub. Excuse me, man. What's going on, bro? Coca-Cola went down the wrong tube. What the hell? Look at when Frankie Gomez sparred Jose Benavidez Jr. It racked up views. Look at Sergey Lipinets when he sparred Jose Benavidez Jr. Look at these amazing stories that we've heard about. Because you have to understand, just like how a lot of amazing athletes like Marshawn Lattimore for South Carolina, they left a lot on the field in their college days. A lot of these are our favorite boxers, and even the boxers that never become champions, they leave a lot of their heart, blood, and their skill and their mental capacity in these tough-ass sparring wars that we hear about. Everyone talks about that Venezuelan fighter, right? The southpaw. And then there's a little bit of rumors how Edwin Valero, right? When he was beating the shit out of Eric Morales. Bro, imagine if boxing gave us access to that. Tank sparring, Shakur Stevenson. You know, the X amount of rounds Tank sparred with Devin Haney. We need access to that. You see? You know how like football games, they have preseason and they have scrimmages? That's essentially equivalent to tough sparring wars. Boxing needs to learn from these other sports. You see, football, man, everybody has football highlights. From Pop Warner, right? It carries over to high school. Everyone's recording high school games. To college football, they've already have shirts, video games, trading cards, jersey sales. So you can follow a player from high school, Shador Sanders, right? Goes on to Jackson State, an HBCU, develop a following already before the age of 20, before even turning pro. Dominate, documentaries, exposure, all in college, on worldwide television, local channels, Fox, CBS, ABC type of shit. By the time they go into the NFL, they already have a cult following. Boxing needs that. Be like, how? Simple. It can be an app. It can be, a boxing website where, they just tell people, hey, this is the Ring Magazine website. Upload your sparring footage here. It'll be overseen just in case there's no profanity or beats or, some explicit things. Edit out all those things. And then it builds a following as a kid. There can be an app of it, right? And everybody upload top sparring footage, the top amateurs. It needs to be recorded, right? When they go to the Olympics, I think AIBA has a website, or a World Boxing Super Series Olympic website on YouTube. It needs all that. So by the time like the Kermel Moultons or even other fighters that are like 15-time national champions, like for instance, Ryan Garcia is a 15-time national champion, right? Ryan Garcia has beaten Devin Haney twice, and Devin has beaten him 3 times. Ryan's beating a lot of these top tier fighters, right? So I'm like, give us access to that. Where's the footage? Release it. Continue to develop the sport of boxing, the growth. What does it take? All it really takes is obviously money, obviously someone that has connections. Mayweather can popularize what I just stated. Jake Paul can. In fact, eventually one of these influencers are going to do that. You see what I'm saying? And when it does, boxing can slowly but surely become one of the forefronts of TV. Errol Spence knocked out Leonard Bundu during the Olympics, and there was like 7 point something million people that watched that knockout. When Keith Thurman fought Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, on average, it generated between 3 to 6 million views on Fox TV. It didn't have to be pay-per-view. If PBC continue to do that, the amazing fights on local channels, people are going to tune in. Everybody has local, Fox on their regular TV. It's going to do views. People are going to tune in. You're going to bring in the money through the commercials. You see what I'm saying? Your fighter will be popular. 5 million people watching them and develop a good little following. And maybe he says a little saying, and then you can get on pay-per-view for $20, $30 a pop. Don't necessarily have to be 80 to 100. And then you just start milking them, start milking the cow. There's a lot of things that boxing can do and get away from being a gentleman. Oh, we don't show sparring. I think it's rude and disrespectful. How? If there's exposure and money to make in terms of not only their fighters, but be a mainstream fighter. Like they need to, like I said, be more accessible to those certain things. It's one of the things that I like about organized sports like football, like the NBA. They have structure. Structure goes a long ways because there's a method, there's a formula, and it's working. Boxing is a little more chaotic. It lacks structure, right? Like there's a schedule for basketball, there's a schedule for football, there's a schedule for hockey, baseball, there's a schedule for everything, soccer, right? These are the top tier sports. They're scheduled. They have a season, they have a time off. And boxing, it's not like that, right? The show cannot go on if Tank Davis is injured, he's inactive or incarcerated. You're right. Patrick Mahomes can get incarcerated. He can get locked up. He can get injured. But the Kansas City Chiefs still have to continue to play the following week. You can't necessarily do that if Tank's out the picture, right? Because this is an individualized sport. So you're going to run into some of those problems, right? I get that. But the brand has to grow. Boxing has to learn from these other sports and copy, right? This is a copycat league. This is a copycat world that we live in, right? If you create an Uber, somebody creates whatever contrary to that, right? Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart. It's a copycat league. Change the names. They offer different services. Boxing has to take a little sample of these other sports and organize it. Create a boxing amateur app. Grow the following. Create a page. And you start, streaming certain things. For instance, let's say there's a nice up-and-coming Ryan Garcia fighter, let's just say from, I don't know, San Francisco, California, right? He's a 12-time national champion. His record's 180 and 10 losses. And there has to be a crew, an amateur crew, that goes and has interviews and has cameras set up into wherever that venue and that fight is taking place at. And then they're recording the national amateur Ryan. Let's say if he was fighting a modern Shakur Stevenson that can beat him. They have to do that. There's got to be a crew that follows the top tier amateurs and records their fights. Because again, a lot of these amateurs, and I'll repeat it again, not just amateurs or also professional fighters, the sparring, they leave a lot of their heart, their blood, and essentially most of their skill. They develop brain damage during sparring as well. Headgear can only block so much. You can still get concussions. You can still get knocked out, even with them big-ass gloves, right? Because when you get tired, boom, you get rocked, shit's lights out. So there's going to suffer brain damage regardless. You at least can make money off of that. Well, yeah, man, that's a little bit of boxing and football. I'm going to probably talk for like 5 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. Don't have to be long. Excuse me. I just going back to football a little bit. The best defensive team right now, it's got to be between Dallas, the Chiefs, and the New York Jets. As long as those players, as of right now, week 2 headed into week 3, as long as those players remain healthy on the Dallas Cowboys defensive side of the ball, the Cowboys are always going to be in football games. They're just way too talented on that defensive side of the ball to not be, right? It's all going to come down to Dak Prescott and if he can sustain drives. Simple. Put your defense in great position, play the field game, right? And as long as you just keep them fresh, boom. Micah's going to go do his thing. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to do his thing. Van Der Esch, Stephon Gilmore, Diggs. Like, they're going to keep you in the game. It's going to really come down to Dak Prescott if he can score a couple of points. That's all you need. Same thing with the Jets, with Zach Wilson. Can Zach Wilson just be a game manager? Get into a flow, make the short, easy completions. Feed the ball to Garrett Wilson. Give it to, Breece Hall. You're going to be in the game. Same thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, you're going to be like, well, they have a top. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, doesn't get enough love and attention what he's been able to do with that Chiefs defense. It's nasty. It's good. It's well-schooled. The guy knows his football, period. And now you've been having the best quarterback. But just because you have the best quarterback, bro, you got to still give him some receivers that can fucking catch the ball. You do that just with one guy. Look what he's been able to do with Travis Kelce. Kelce can be double covered. Amazing safety like Derwin James can have his moments, can dip and lift Kelce. But in terms of coverage, you can't carry him the whole game. Just give him a complimentary piece. Maybe it could be Isaac Pacheco. Maybe it can be Jerick McKinnon on the little flats, on the little bubble, slant screens, whatever it can be. You give Mahomes just one type of a competent weapon, right? Mahomes is always going to keep you in the game. The other day, I was rewatching the Super Bowl between, Tom Brady during the 2020 Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. And some of the throws Mahomes, by the way, the Chiefs were missing their 2 top linemen, right? And Mahomes with that Buccaneers defensive line that was consisted of Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, JPP, right? Jason Pierre-Paul, and Ndamukong Suh. You had the 2 middle linebackers, Levante David and Devin White. You had Antoine Winfield Jr. Bro, you had a nasty-ass defense on the Bucs side, right? And throughout the whole, let's say, Mahomes took 45 snaps, about 30 of them, he was always being chased down. He had no pocket. And some of these throws and him scrambling like Russell Wilson during his Seattle Seahawks days against the Niners, just fucking buying time. He was making some of the most incredible throws I've ever seen. Like some baseball throws. Baseball shit, like diving in mid-air and still throwing the ball to get the runner out at first and hitting his targets in the forehead. He threw so many passes that hit Kelce right in his hands or his face mask and he dropped them. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. They could not bail Mahomes. I felt sorry for Mahomes. I was like, damn, bro. You're doing everything you possibly can. And your best weapons are fucking up themselves. They were shook, man. The Bucs came with I should have bet hella money on that because I knew their 2 offensive linemen were hurt. And I just didn't pull the plug, bro. I wish I could have that one back. I knew the Bucs were going to blow them out. I don't know why I didn't bet that. But anyway, those 3 teams are, because of their defense, they're always going to be in the hunt. Now, the 2 most complete teams are the Niners and the Buffalo Bills. All things being equal, it should be the Niners versus the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. It should be. But I can't trust Josh Allen to beat Patrick Mahomes. I simply can't. If you give Patrick Mahomes what Josh Allen has in New York, right, Buffalo, if you give Josh Allen a Stephon Diggs, and if you give him, hell, even a Gabe Davis, they're almost going undefeated like when they gave Tom Brady fucking Randy Moss. But because Josh Allen, when he faces defenses that are actually good and they can scheme properly, you get week 1 versus the Jets, 3 interceptions and 1 forced fumble. So if Josh Allen can put things together as complete of an offense and defense that they are on both sides, do they have 7 first rounders on the defensive side of the ball, right? Their safeties, Tre'Davious White, their defensive line, they're as good and if not better than the Buccaneers in 2020. But it all comes down to Josh Allen. Can you win, bro, in the big moments? The Niners, they're the most complete team with the team filled with the most all-pro. They have an all-pro safety, Hufanga, an all-pro corner, Ward, all-pro linebacker, Fred Warner, basically 2 all-pro defensive linemen and Nick Bosa and Hardgrave. I don't know if he was an all-pro last year, probably. So that's 4 on the defensive side. On the offensive side, you got all-pro Debo, all-pro Kittle, all-pro 71 Silverback, Trent Williams, all-pro running back. That's 8 all-pro bowlers. Of the 22 people on the field, 8 of them are all-pro. Multiple of them are pro bowlers. So again, all things being equal, the Niners and the Bills are the 2 best teams in the NFL. But I can't even tell you if they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Right? Like I would be like, bro, that's the Super Bowl this year. Put your money in it. But because I can't trust Josh Allen to beat Mahomes because of what I talked about, schemes. But in terms of players all around, those 2 have the best nucleuses. I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting. I think the New Orleans Saints might have one of the best records in the NFL because once they get Alvin Kamara back, I wonder how good Derek Carr is going to be. Because right now he's doing really good, Derek Carr. He's been high. He didn't play that great last night. Carolina Panthers, they have a very underwhelming and a very good defense, right? I was pretty surprised how they let go of that other coach because there was a system and a mindset in place. And I felt like they did that coach dirty, but it is what it is. But Carolina has very good players on the defensive side of the ball. And they were still missing Shaq Lawson. So I wanted to see Derek Carr execute a little more. But without a running game, I can see where he kind of panics. But he's got weapons in terms of the wideouts. Shareed, number 22, is amazing. Chris Olave, fantastic. Michael Thomas is still for sure's hands, right? He might be a little older, but just throw him. Just throw him the ball and the short little intermediate routes. He's got a wide-ass wingspan. Anyway, the Saints defense was really good too. I like Marcus May. I like Tyrann Mathieu. The cornerback, I think from Ohio State, like Marcus, I forgot what's his name. Lattimore or some shit like that. Cameron Jordan, D'Amico Davis or some shit like that. They're good. They're a really good complete team. Even though where are they in like the NFC South, NFC East? I'm not too sure. But even though like the Atlanta Falcons are 2-0 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0 and the Saints are 2-0, all of those aren't playoff teams, by the way. I think all of them are pretenders. I think that's maybe the Buccaneers can be very good. Their defense is still nasty. They still got amazing weapons on the offensive side of the ball with Mike Evans and Charles Godwin. But can you really trust Baker Mayfield? Like, can you trust him for a full season? I don't know. Right now, he's doing a great job. But the Saints should be the more complete team, especially once Alvin Kamara comes back and with the 3rd easiest schedule, because that division sucks. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons, I know they're 2-0, but that's a young squad. The Buccaneers are experienced, and that same team basically has won the Super Bowl. But they should be really good. I mean, bro, Baker Mayfield is the first-round draft pick. If he can put it together, maybe the Bucs are that Cinderella surprising team. But I would say it's the Saints. But based on what I saw against Derek Carr, again, kind of like Josh Allen, they have a very good team. But if you scheme properly, Derek Carr, like Josh Allen, they will choke. Sure, they'll throw for 5,000 yards, 38 touchdown passes to 15 picks. But those 15 picks, crucial moments when they throw them. But that's a little bit of how I think the football season should go, man. I think that's pretty accurate, all things being equal. Obviously, like, you have the Cleveland Browns, right? A very good team. But if they get injured and that amazing running back, Nick Chubb, gets injured, then you're like, damn, who do they really got? Can Deshaun Watson be the same quarterback from Houston? I don't know, man. I don't think so. You know, I feel like he's that ego got deflated from being, having no expectations out of Houston, right? Now, when he goes into a team that's pretty much a contender, the Cleveland Browns, once there's an expectation of greatness, once you get that $250 million guaranteed contract in the QB position, there's pressure. There's pressure to excel. There's pressure to win a chip. There's pressure. You feel it. And I think Deshaun Watson is caving under it. You see, when no one's expecting big things out of you, it can surprise motherfuckers, right? You got the element of surprise. But now once the lights are there and you have to go through the rounds of, and there's exposure and everyone's watching every single thing that you do. If you poke your nose, if you fart and, if you grab your nuts and smell your hand, you know what I mean? Doing the test, like, yeah, now you can do that. You got to be all robotic and kind of like stoic and just be like, yeah, man, just you're doing my job. You got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what Deshaun Watson is going through. It's crazy, bro. It's when we talk about honor and having principle, right? Kaepernick had, let me just go little things. I want to just mention, throw something out there in the wind. When I think about Colin Kaepernick, right? When he was the Niners quarterback, when he barely came in and Alex Smith got hurt, and he did what he did against Green Bay, and he was kissing his biceps, people were talking shit about his tattoos, right? Oh, it's a bad example for the kids to get tattoos. He should cover them up. They were saying a bunch of shit. But people loved him, and some people disliked that, right? Not your prototypical look. I just read an article on Yahoo how I guess this high schooler, they kicked him out of school for two days, or they suspended him because of his braids. And you would think like this guy's coming out to school all fodongo, like all musty. No, it was just his braids. It was his culture. And they suspended him for it, right? Like, talk about like America being like, like church versus state and like a Christian nation or whatever the case may be. Like, bro, don't you guys know the story of Samson and Delilah? Like, Samson, strong ass warrior, goes from his hair. And then once she cuts it off, boom, he loses that prowess. It's like, bro, I don't know. Anyway, going back to Kaepernick, that's a little soliloquy. Don't even make any sense. I'm just rambling on. But Kaepernick, right, he was loved by white people, black people. He was leading the Niners to the NFC Championship game, doing amazing things. I think they even went to the Super Bowl that same year, or maybe the following year. I don't really remember. It's been a while. Bowman has an amazing fumble or scoop and score interception against the Falcons, takes it back like 99 yards to the house. Amazing. Anyway, they're doing this incredible run, and then grows out his hair. He's got a little afro, and then he starts taking a knee, right? And everybody loses their shit. Everybody loses their shit. He wears some high socks with the little pig's cop on like a cop figurine of a caricature of the pig. And everyone loses their shit. Everyone's writing all these articles, all right? But they don't really lose their shit against Deshaun Watson. I mean, I'm not going to take a stance in terms of, is he a free man or did he do his time and did he get suspended? Whatever the case may be. It happened how it happened. The legislative system did its thing. They suspended him for a whole year, didn't get no pay, whatever the case may be. But he can be on an active team, knowing what we know, what he did, who he had to pay off and all these things. But Colin Kaepernick gets suspended just for taking a knee, being political. When we talk about structure, right, in terms of money aspect of it, producing amazing content, following these athletes and building narratives, the NFL is amazing. They're the best. And I wish boxing was like it. But we want to talk about like other structure. And if you compare Kaepernick to Deshaun Watson, how does Watson is still in the league? How did he still get guaranteed the $250 million? What does that say to like the female audiences? It's like, do we just care more about Kaepernick taking a knee and be like, bro, my people are getting killed by cops? Oh, but we look at the statistics, black people kill more black people. Look, Kaepernick doesn't get to play because he takes a stance. But Deshaun Watson can do what he did, and he still collects a fat ass check. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. But it is what it is, man. Hopefully you guys got something out of this like 30-minute live. I thought I covered some good shit, but it is what it is. Have a good night. Deuces.